Ladies and gentlemen, your next match of the evening to be fought over three 3-minute rounds at the amateur mixed martial arts rules in the Bantamweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, making her in-cage debut, representing from MMA, please welcome her opponent standing across the cage, fighting out of the red corner. He enters the cage with a record of 2 victories, no defeats, representing first generation. Please welcome Lexi Rook. Your referee in charge of the action, Sam Amiti.
Bantamweight female bout here. Amber Charles from Pro My MMA in the blue corner, coming in for the debut here. And Lexi Rook from first generation in the red corner, and Lexi with 2 wins already to her MMA career. And she's had some striking bouts as well, so she's really worked hard on all aspects of MMA coming into this fight.
Yeah, Rook aggressive with the strikes earlier on, marching Charles down.
Lexi looking to plan that right hand. Yeah, there we go. A little bit of a slip there from Charles. But Lexi's known for her pressuring style. She understands when to come forward and when to really put the pressure on and advance. She's going to look maybe to look for the mount in this position. She's got to skip that right leg over the body of Charles. But Charles is sensing that. She's holding on to the head there to finish that guillotine. More than often, you have to pull full guard. You have to get both your legs round your opponent. It is possible to finish in this position with a high wrist. So you pull your elbow in a kind of clockwise motion. You twist it round and force your wrist towards your own head. It gives you more leverage, but again, it's difficult to finish, especially with the bigger gloves. Yeah,
very difficult to finish. I have seen, I think, Ross Point and Dean Bray in Cage Rage about 10 years ago was the last time I saw that. As it is, though, she's given up mount. Rook, very high mount here, Dean. A lot of time left on the clock as well.
Yeah, she's doing a good job of staying off the hips. The power in the hips of Charles when she wants to buck. So Lexi did a good job of moving away from the hips, sitting up nice and high, raining down these punches. And the referee's looking on here. Oh, look at that, the turn. Lexi again looking for the back. She's got to get both these hooks in to establish the back position. She does just that. Going to look for the rear naked choke here. She's cinched up the position. She's underneath the chin.
Difficult to see from my vantage point if she's just got under that chin, although we've seen fighters obviously go over the top of the jaw as well. It was valid technique.
Yeah, she's got the dominant position here. As long as she keeps the hooks in and she follows Amber around, you know, she could. Oh, this is under the chin now. You can see there she's starting to grimace. She's punching, but she needs to hand fight. She needs to pull down the left arm to get rid of this choke and then get that neck out of that right arm of Lexi. And there we go. Look at that. Amber very tough in this position. Amber's got to get to her feet. She's got to explode now and start to face her opponent. Fire that right arm around so she faces her opponent. Look at that. Wow. Straight to the feet and a knee there in the interim from Charles.
Rook just pouring on this offense, Dean. She's just not giving Charles any space in any position here. As you said, Charles did fantastically well to survive that RNC, but again being put under pressure here. There's Rook in on this takedown. Charles takes a deep breath there.
Yeah, she's got a workout here. Lexi's, trains very hard. She's really had kind of experience in all aspects of the game. She has some striking bouts as well as 2 MMA fights coming into this. But I mean, you can't count Charles out with her record as her debut. She hasn't had any fights, but she's really taking it to Rook, making it difficult for her to implement the takedown and finish on the ground. But what I like that Charles does, she's very active in these positions. When she can, she'll strike. She'll give Rook something to think about.
Yeah, as the first round finishes, credit to Charles for seeing that one through. And you have to say, Dean, you mentioned it before, credit to Charles for taking this fight. As a debut, it's a very, very tough ask here. Rook tried to make that experience pay, came forward early doors, really swarmed Charles. Got the rear naked choke, looked to be under the chin. Credit to Charles, didn't panic. She's taking a few big breaths in that corner now. Be interesting to see the advice coming from the corner team. But you have to be said, Dean, as well, Rook expended a lot of energy looking for the finish there. I mean, you know what it's like as a fighter to be that close to ending the match and not getting the finish. It can affect you.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of at the forefront of my mind here. Looking in the corners, Alexi's breathing heavily. Charles is breathing heavily. But, I mean, you could argue that Charles had the difficult the task of defending more, so she was more active. This is going to come down for me. If this pace keeps going, who's going to have the better cardio? Who's going to make that mistake first?
Second round ready to get underway here at FIGHTSTAR Championship 16. Fantastic card put on from Raj and the team.
Lexi again looking to land those hands, closed doors. She kind of comes forward as she punches, limiting the power there. You can see she's like storming forward. And she's almost too close, she's smothering her work, but that right hand was nice, that was more at length. Now she's finding her range here. She kind of comes forward. I like to see her use her range a little bit more, put the power at the end of the punches. Whoa! And she ate a right hand there from Charles, and that's what I love about Charles. She's still showing that she's in this fight. She never backs up, she never quits. She's constantly throwing out those punches and kicks.
Yeah, good for Charles, and that gives Rook something to think about, and she's really got on her bike here in this second round. I wonder if the corners just asked for, listen, we've got to really up the lateral movement here, because as you say, Rook is kind of predictable in the way she's coming forward.
Yeah, I mean, for me, you can almost certainly see that Charles has some striking experience, that elusive kind of style that we're seeing now in MMA. You know, coming from points, kickboxing and the karate standpoints. She's done a good job, though, of being on the outside and moving around, but I mean, equally, Lexi's done the right thing. She's closed the distance, she's working for the takedown. Again, she needs to use strikes and knees to distract Charles, to drop down, to look for the single leg or even the double leg here. She's got double underhooks in this position. It's a dominant position here.
Yeah, Charles with that whizzer. She's eaten a few shots here on the cage.
Lexi's done a good job of using her head there to pressure Charles forward, so she can use that as a targeting system and almost to keep Charles where she wants her. She's got a lead leg driven forward. Look at all that weight and the drive, and of course the gravity there, forcing Charles to work. This is why Charles is looking to switch out of this position, but she needs to gain the underhooks. At this present time, she's allowed Lexi to get double underhooks. She needs to funnel her arms on the inside of the arms of Lexi to look for the underhooks.
Yeah, I mean, Rook's not even, well, as I say that, she just drops down for the takedown, but she was content to keep working there, Dean, wasn't she? As you say, when your opponent's not digging in for those underhooks, and you can stay there and you've got a striking hand, you know, you can pick up rounds that way.
Yeah, I mean, Lexi's dropping her head down to look for the double leg, but she's leaving her neck out. Like, you know, it's almost like if you imagine back in the day in France where they'd chop your head off with a guillotine, your head was sticking out. You can't do that. You have to keep your head up and turtle your neck and keep your back straight when you're looking for the takedown up against the cage.
Rook doing the right thing, I think. As you say, she's trying to swarm Charles, and she, as we mentioned, it's a little predictable coming forward, but it is enabling her to close the distance, isn't it? And Charles, maybe these jumping techniques, maybe not the best thing to do. Maybe get on the bike with a jab or something like that, because a couple of these kick attempts now, these jumping kicks, have ended up in a clinch. And the problem now, Dean, is she's spending 30 seconds a minute each time trying to get out of these positions.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. She's almost certainly got to realise where she had success at range with the elusive footwork. And it, like you say, with the aesthetically pleasing techniques, the jumping kicks and the spinning kicks, spinning back fists, they allow your opponent to capitalise by gaining distance to get close to you. And that's exactly what Lexi Rook did. So Charles now, you know, equally, you could argue that Charles maybe needs to look for a finish here. I mean, a high-level judge yourself, you judge some of the top shows in the world. What would you say, you know, looking on the judges' scorecards that they've got Lexi and Charles here?
Yeah, I mean, certainly no question. I mean, Rook's going to be in front here. You're looking at effective striking and grappling is obviously the first criteria, but the new modern criteria is looking more towards fight-ending techniques. You know, is that technique looking to end the fight? And in the first round, Rook obviously had the brilliant RNC attempt. You can't get much closer than that to finishing the fight. So she picked up that round. In the second round, unfortunately for Charles, she didn't really make Rook do too much. I mean, she got those positions against the cage, and we say it time and time again, Dean. In a 3-minute round, position can be everything. And Rook's probably ended up nicking that second round through not having, you know, too much success on the feet. Charles, at the moment, she had the jumping punch, Superman-style punch off the cage, but she just negated all her work by getting pinned on that cage. And credit to Rook, she kept busy in the eye of the judges, which is always key, of course. So yeah, I agree with you. I think Charles needs a stoppage. It's going to be interesting to see how she comes out looking for it. Certainly got a lot of tools in the kit bag when it comes to striking, you could tell that.
And this is what we were talking about, staying on the outside, picking your shots, not committing too much, you know, working the angles. There we go, she circles out. She's got to be careful about turning her back away from Rook, but she almost certainly knows what Rook wants. She wants to close her down to the cage and look for the takedown. So, I mean, that's kind of an advantage here from Charles. Her ability to know what her opponent wants to do.
respect the way Rook comes forward, like Terminator-like. It's she's just relentless, just straight back on her now. Even when she eats the strike from Charles, it just doesn't seem to stop her in her tracks.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with her style. She comes forward, she leaves her head out a little bit, but I mean Charles is not able to floor her feet to transfer any power. She's got to be mobile. She's got to get on the bike, you know. And Lexi almost certainly aware of that, so it allows her to storm forward and look for this position here. You know, not too worried about eating too many hard strikes. When someone's storming forward and they're looking for the takedown, you've got to make them worry about the uppercuts, the overhand rights, and the strikes coming in. And at present, you know, Lexi can just walk through those punches.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the place that she's really struggled in the second round, and again looks to be struggling. As you mentioned, Dean, this is basics in a way. You need to be pummeling in now, looking for underhooks and looking to change that, because at the moment she's just holding Rook onto her, holding her head. I say that she goes for the whizzer, but it's not enough in this position. You can't spend this amount of time here. Oh, she's reversed it, jumped on the guillotine, and you mentioned it earlier on in the show, Dean, so risky. And she's given up a top position now at this stage of the fight. That could be a fatal decision for her, unfortunately.
Almost certainly, especially with somebody with a grappling pedigree as Rook. She's got excellent jiu-jitsu, very dominant from the top position, great at passing the guard. You know, that was a fatal mistake there from Amber Charles.
Yeah, I mean, we argued that she did need a stoppage, but probably you've got to work the numbers on that one, and that really didn't look on. Credit to her for trying, and these are the type of things she's going to pick up, and her team are going to pick up if this one goes the distance. But as it is, Rook taking a solid top position in half guard here, and she'll know she's ahead on the cards, Dean. She's just going to settle into this position here. Look to just keep busy enough.
Yeah, I mean, the guard's completely open here from Charles. Look, Lexi could go straight to mount here, but like you say, she's happy to ride this out, keep heavy from the top position. She understands that she's potentially up in this round or up in the fight. She's just got to stay on top, stay busy enough to keep the ref happy, you know, and coast away to a decision win.
Yeah, solid fundamentals from Rook.
And the referee clapping there, Sam Amidi's clapping, he wants more action, so that should prompt Amber just to hold on. You know, she needs to stand up. I think the 10-second clapper just went there. You know, you could argue this is too little too late.
Yeah, nice crossface from Rook there, staying heavy on top. She's done what she needed to do. Good performance from Rook, who's surely on her way to a victory on the scorecards. And credit to Charles, as we mentioned before, she's took on a girl that already had a couple of wins. It's a tough debut. And I think she's probably going to surprise some people, Dean, because within that performance, I know you know more about her background than I do, but there was some nice strikes there, and I think another fighter that maybe gives her a bit more room to work. You're going to see some spectacular work for Charles, but obviously at this stage in amateur career, it's a good learning experience for her as well, you know, because Rook was a difficult opponent who came with an excellent game plan. Yeah, and that's the way you move up the ranks. You test yourself, you go back to the gym, you know, you improve. It highlights the areas that you need to work when you get to the pro ranks. I mean, there's different rule sets, more availability for damage with the elbows and knees to the head. So you want to make sure that your skill set and your repertoire is on point, and the amateur way is to do that. And that was a good fight. Like you say, a perfect learning curve for both of these athletes here in FIGHTSTAR.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of action, we go to the judges' scorecards. With the unanimous decision, your winner in the red corner,